Rumors swirling about the Jets possibly taking Baker Mayfield at number 3. What do I think about it?
We need the bar.
Based off those moves, I think it's safe to say, case is closed, he's a perfect fit for the New York Jets. No, but seriously, I think Baker Mayfield is a very, very interesting prospect. I like him a lot. Bill Parcells has rules for drafting quarterbacks, 7 rules. When you match it up to how the quarterbacks stack up, it's not 100% foolproof, but it certainly helps pick out some good prospects and some good stars that lead into the NFL. And those rules are 3-year starter, must be a senior, must graduate, start 30 games, win 23 games, have a 2-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio, and at least a 60% completion percentage. Now, some guys come out of college a year early, 2 years early, they only play for 2 years. That kind of skews it a little bit, but of all the guys in this draft class, or at least in the top 5 quarterbacks, Baker Mayfield is the only one that checks off all 7 of these. There's a lot of arguments against Baker Mayfield. I mean, he's too short. His arm strength is questionable. Big 12 doesn't produce quarterbacks. He doesn't play under center. Off the field concerns with his arrest and everything like that. So let's break this down one by one. First off, too short. If he's too short, I mean, he measured in at 6 foot and 5/8 of an inch. So he's actually closer to 6'1" than 6 foot. To put that in perspective, Aaron Rodgers is only 1 inch and 3/8 taller than him. Jimmy Garoppolo is 6'2" as well. So for 1 inch, are you really going to be that stingy on how his quarterback play has been and his prospects going into the NFL, when we've seen prospects and quarterbacks like Russell Wilson and Drew Brees come out shorter than Baker Mayfield and play at all-star levels? The other thing with his height, too, is you'd expect to have issues with tipped balls at the line of scrimmage. That's not the issue with Baker Mayfield. It's not the case. I mean, you look at his linemen, they're all massive, especially Orlando Brown, who's 6'8". To put that in perspective, there's not many linemen that are 6'8", so he's not having an issue seeing over the line. I think his height is drastically overblown. I don't think it's nearly as big of an issue as people want to make it out to be. I know overall there's not too many short quarterbacks, but quarterbacks that come from Josh Allen's metrics, there's plenty of busts in there too, so forget it. All right, arm strength. There were questions about his arm strength. Oh, is he really throwing that hard? Is he going to be able to cut through the New York wind or the New Jersey wind or whatever? He threw the second fastest speed at the combine. So, he's still throwing faster than Josh Allen, or Josh Rosen, Baker Mayfield, words, Josh Rosen, Sam Darnold, and Lamar Jackson, while also being incredibly accurate. He can throw from every angle. He can reset his feet. He can launch a ball 60 yards in the air on a dime. There's no issue with that. 12 doesn't produce quarterbacks. Well, guess what? The Mountain West, the Missouri Valley, and the Ohio Valley conferences don't produce a whole heck of a lot of quarterbacks either, but they have produced Derek Carr, Carson Wentz, and Jimmy Garoppolo. So it doesn't matter where you play. It's ridiculous. If you can ball, you can ball. I think the Big 12 is totally overblown with the, they can't produce quarterbacks. This is ridiculous. Don't look at this. Whatever. Next, doesn't play under center. That's sort of a weird thing for me, especially because the NFL has really gone away from going under center anyway. Only 42% of snaps are actually taken from under center, 69 of which are run plays. So you're talking 29% of overall plays that Baker would be playing, roughly, would be pass plays from under center. That, he's going to have play action as well. So he's not just taking 5-step drops, 7-step drops, whatever, from under center. He's going to be playing from the shotgun a lot. There's plenty of quarterbacks that have been doing it, especially shorter ones. You can see the whole field from back there. You don't have to take as many steps in your drop. I think being under center is drastically overblown as well. I don't think that has to be, a knock against him. whatever. If you want to call it a knock, you can call it a knock. Off the field issues. We all know he had his issue with the law last season, or the end of, I guess, this time last year, where he was arrested for public intoxication, disorderly conduct, and fleeing and resisting arrest. I think there's a joke somewhere in there about these police officers playing defense in the D12 and signing these guys up for scholarships because, stereotypically the Big 12 is not known for playing defense. Whatever. I think public intoxication and disorderly conduct kind of go hand in hand. If you're drinking in college and you're having a loud, rowdy time, I think that's an easy thing for people to say, oh, you know what, that's a college kid just doing his college thing. The fleeing and resisting arrest, I think they tagged him with that because, obviously he fled, but it's not like he was in a high-speed chase. It wasn't like he was trying to harm the officers. I think it was just a drunk, stupid decision. And, if Peyton Manning can rub his taint on a training staff member when he was in college and go number 1 overall, I don't see why Baker Mayfield, can run away in a pretty hilarious fashion and not be a top 3 pick. Whatever. Into the stats. The last 3 years, 2015, 16, 17, he's finished 4th, 3rd, and 1st place in Heisman Trophy winning voting. So the dude's been consistent over the last 3 to, 5 years because he had a year off. But the last 3 years have been incredible. His college stats, they have him overall. So 68.5 percentage completed, 14,600 yards, 131 touchdowns, 30 interceptions. Dude's putting up monster stats. Pro Football Focus likes to do an adjusted completion percentage, which I really like. I think it's a really cool way to learn how accurate a quarterback actually is. And what that does is it takes into account tipped balls, it takes down receivers who drop balls, throws out of bounds. It takes those away and it adjusts the completion percentage. And generally, it's going to elevate everyone's stats X amount. Baker's is over 80%. That is so much higher than the next closest person. One of the biggest things with Pro Football Focus, they've been grading college quarterbacks over the last 4 years, and Baker Mayfield has put up 3 of the top 6 overall performances. That is absolutely insane. To put it in perspective, they use a graph that has it's a circle chart, and it shows, passing grade, completion percentage, big time throws, intermediate routes, all these different things. And the idea is the more circular the chart is, the better overall prospect you are. So when you look at all 5 of the top quarterbacks, Baker Mayfield is by far the closest to an overall circle. It doesn't necessarily give you all the facts, but that's one thing that it checks off as well. Looks really good. The next thing you have is his passer rating. He has put up the best passer rating of any of these quarterbacks by far. And then to take that another step further, you're looking at his under pressure passer rating. He's still way above everyone else. The dude is cool, calm, and collected no matter the circumstance. I think in the New York media, with having a suspect offensive line, I think he's going to be perfectly fine in New York. He performs under the utmost pressure, I guess. Another metric that's been used is Football Outsiders Q-base. They rank all these quarterbacks based on all their throws and all their metrics and whatnot. And over the course of the since 1997 of them doing this rating, the middle ratings are kind of murky. They're not necessarily great. But if you look at the upper echelon of quarterbacks, the top 10, Baker Mayfield falls at number 4 overall. He's put in company with the likes of Phillip Rivers, Aaron Rodgers, Big Ben, Peyton Manning, Russell Wilson. Again, doesn't tell the full story, but if he's included with this huge list of, 8 of the top 10 guys are really good, it's certainly not a detractor for Baker. So given all the stats and given everything I just presented with you, I'm a real big fan of Baker. I think it would be awesome to see him in New York. There's nothing more that I want to see than him grabbing his crotch and saying F you to Bill Belichick on the other side of the field, and the Jets walking off in amazing fashion with a victory, and it's just all I want. Broadway Baker, sunglasses, and dance moves, and everything like that. I think the NFL really wants Baker Mayfield in New York. I think with their ratings taking a hit the last year or two with the anthem protests, I think having a franchise that's been starved for a franchise quarterback for 50 years, getting the most polarizing prospect coming out of college in a long time, I think that immediately thrusts him into stardom. I think he will absolutely flourish in it. He wants to play in New York. He's not afraid of the spotlight. Yeah, I guess let me know what you think down below. Lots of interesting takes on all the quarterbacks. I wanted to make a video about all the different quarterbacks and all their positives and negatives, but I'm a Baker Mayfield fan boy, so whatever. I guess it's probably my Napoleon complex kicking in. Short white quarterback, whatever. I'm excited. I think he's going to be good. So if they decide to take him with the 3rd overall pick, I'm all for it. Again, as always, go Jets.